Gather round, children of the internet, and let me tell you a story. A story not from the ancient times of kings and queens, but from the bustling heart of a modern city, where concrete towers reach for the sun, and the streets hum with the songs of 1,000 cars. In this city lived a woman known to all her tenants as Mama Ngozi. Now, Mama Ngozi wasn't your average landlady. Oh no. She was a woman whose heart was as hard as the granite countertops she refused to install in her apartments. Her smile was as rare as rain in the Harmattan season, and her laughter was a sound no one had ever heard. Mama Ngozi owned a block of flats, a tall, tired-looking building that had seen better days. The paint peeled like sunburnt skin, the plumbing groaned like an old man with a bad back, and the electricity played hide-and-seek more often than it stayed on. Yet, her rent was as high as the most luxurious apartments in the city center. And if you were late, even by a single day, you would face a wrath that could make a lion cower. She would stand at your door, her voice a booming thunderclap, her words sharper than a butcher's knife, embarrassing you in front of all your neighbors until you produced her money. She was, to put it mildly, an evil landlady. Many tenants came and went, fleeing her tyranny like frightened birds. Those who stayed did so out of desperation, their prayers for deliverance a constant whisper in the hallways of the old building. They complained to each other in hushed tones, sharing stories of her cruelty. How she once disconnected a family's water supply because their child's toy truck had scratched her car. Or the time she threw out a young student's belongings into the rain because his rent was a few shillings short. The tenants dreamed of a day when someone, anyone, would stand up to Mama Ngozi. They just never imagined that person would be a quiet, unassuming young woman named Amara. Amara was a software developer, a modern woman with a gentle spirit and a mind as sharp as a digital algorithm. When she first moved in, Mama Ngozi sized her up and saw an easy target. A quiet girl, always typing on her laptop, probably too timid to cause any trouble. For the first few months, things were calm. Amara paid her rent on time, always with a polite smile, never complaining about the leaking faucet or the flickering lights. Mama Ngozi grew complacent, believing she had found another docile sheep for her flock. She was wrong. The trouble began on a Tuesday. A major water pipe in the building burst, flooding the ground floor and cutting off the water supply to everyone. For 3 days, the tenants had no water. They couldn't cook, they couldn't clean, they couldn't even flush their toilets. They pleaded with Mama Ngozi, but she simply shrugged. "It's not my problem," she declared. "You want water? Go buy it from the vendors. Just make sure my rent is ready on the 1st of the month." The tenants were furious, but felt helpless. What could they do? But Amara was not helpless. While others were complaining, she was documenting. She took pictures of the peeling paint, recorded videos of the faulty wiring, and got signed statements from every tenant about the burst pipe and Mama Ngozi's negligence. She spent her nights not just coding for her job, but researching tenant rights and city housing regulations. She discovered dozens of violations, enough to have the building condemned. She was building a case, bite by bite, piece by piece. When the 1st of the month arrived, Mama Ngozi began her usual rounds, a formidable storm ready to collect her dues. She banged on the first door, the second, the third, and was met with an unusual, unified silence. No one opened. Puzzled and growing angrier by the second, she finally reached Amara's apartment on the top floor. She hammered on the door with her fist. "Amara, open this door. I know you are in there. Bring my money now." The door opened slowly. But it wasn't just Amara standing there. Behind her stood every single tenant of the building, their faces a mixture of fear and newfound courage. Mama Ngozi was taken aback. "What is the meaning of this?" she snarled. Amara stepped forward, holding a thick folder. Her voice, usually so soft, was clear and steady. "Mama Ngozi," she began, "we will not be paying you any rent this month. Not until the water is fixed, the electricity is stable, and this building is brought up to a habitable standard as required by city law. Mama Ngozi let out a scornful laugh. City law. You think you can teach me about the law? I will have all of you thrown out on the street by nightfall. I don't think you will, Amara said calmly, opening the folder. Because this folder contains evidence of every single one of your violations. Photos, videos, signed witness statements. I also have a copy of the City Housing Code, which states that a landlord is legally obligated to provide basic amenities like water. Failure to do so means the tenants are not obligated to pay rent. Mama Ngozi's face began to change. The smug confidence flickered, replaced by a flicker of disbelief, then anger. You think you can threaten me? This isn't a threat, Amara replied, her voice firm. It's a fact. We have already filed a collective complaint with the city's housing authority. A copy of this file is with them. Another copy is with a lawyer. If you try to evict us or harass any one of us, you will be facing a major lawsuit and fines that will make this month's rent look like pocket change. The hallway was silent. You could hear a pin drop. The other tenants watched, their eyes wide, as Mama Ngozi stared at the folder in Amara's hands. The landlady's face, usually a mask of arrogance, was now a canvas of shock and fury. She opened her mouth to speak, but for the first time in her life, no words came out. She saw the determined faces behind Amara. She saw the unity. She saw that her reign of terror, built on fear and intimidation, was crumbling. She snatched the folder from Amara's hand and flipped through the pages. Her eyes widened as she saw the meticulous documentation, the clear photographs, the long list of signatures. It was all there. Her empire of neglect was laid bare on paper. She looked up at Amara, her eyes burning with a hatred that was now mixed with something new, fear. Without another word, she turned and stumped down the stairs, the folder clutched in her hand like a venomous snake. The next day, a team of plumbers and electricians arrived. For the first time in years, real, professional repairs began on the building. The water flowed, the lights stayed on, and a fresh coat of paint started to cover the tired old walls. Mama Ngozi was never the same. The thunder in her voice was gone, replaced by a grudging silence. She still collected her rent, but she did it quietly, avoiding eye contact. She never again harassed a tenant. And so, our story ends. The evil landlady didn't vanish in a puff of smoke or get carried away by spirits. No, this is a modern folktale. She was defeated by something far more powerful: knowledge, unity, and a quiet young woman who knew how to use her smartphone and the law. Amara became a hero in that building, a legend whispered in the hallways. She taught everyone a valuable lesson, that sometimes, the greatest dragons can be slain not with a sword, but with a well-documented folder and the courage to stand together. So remember this tale, whenever you feel powerless against a bully. Remember Amara, remember that knowledge is power, unity is strength, and even the most fearsome giants can be brought to their knees. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories. Until next time.